Ready? Play.
Make a quick preview of Swiatek Rybakina, so we will do that. All right, so yeah, Swiatek Rybakina then. The head-to-head is on the screen. Of course, we had just had them playing at the United Cup. This is technically a better court for Swiatek, for sure. Then again, last year, their final was quite competitive. I think with Rybakina, we just have her playing back consistently right now after the second half of last season. I still don't know if she's 100% in terms of her level, her fitness, but she is doing pretty well. So it's not like it's going to be, a situation where we are kind of afraid that she's not going to be able to deliver at least a good performance. I think we're not there really. So I'm just expecting a bit of a classic. Noskova today, she kind of showed that Iga might be vulnerable a little bit, especially if you can just slam second serve returns, which kind of comes back as a topic for Swiatek from time to time. But yeah, the United Cup performance, we've kind of talked about it a lot, right? That at some point Iga makes a great tactical adjustment there when Rybakina is serving for the set, and from that point onwards, it's actually looked like a pretty repeatable strategy to start moving her around and work the angles very well. She wasn't able to do it at all against Noskova today, though. So I don't know where that puts her. But, it's one of her favorite courts in the world. She has to be at least a slight favorite.
Yeah, I think slight favorite is just about right. I'm still expecting a close match. This is by no means one where you go in and you're confident that Iga's going to win it, And so, and yeah, Rybakina today won her match in straights. Iga, bit of a tougher fight, and yeah, the return of serve. I wonder if Iga will make some kind of adjustment, even take half a step back on that, because she's very stubborn about it in terms of her return position. We'll see if that comes into play. I mean, Noskova was hitting spots superbly. She had this amazing first serve rhythm that lasted, basically the whole match. And yeah, Elena Rybakina has shown a pretty high level. I agree. She's been a bit more up and down though than we're used to, like this time last year. So that's maybe something you can take advantage of. And yeah, we have seen some of the new things that Facet has already tried to bring in Iga's game. So I definitely see this being pretty tight. I don't see it not being close. But yeah, I make Iga a slight favorite based on the conditions and the fact that she just beat Rybakina last year, and also in a very tight match, and then also at United Cup mainly. So
yeah, February to April last year, you're obviously right that Swiatek and Rybakina were the two best players on the planet. Then Sabalenka had that lull, and yeah. Right now, it doesn't really feel like they have that much of an edge, but they're obviously still up there. It's kind of tough to say who's really there at the moment, since Sabalenka and Gauff both lost early. So we probably will know kind of more going forward, but they're still definitely up there. They're still up there among the top 5, at least in terms of the level. And should be a very entertaining clash. I think it's definitely one of my favorite matchups on the circuit. Sometimes it can get a little bit too serve +1 heavy, in Stuttgart. That was not as entertaining. But at the same time, on this court, I don't think we're really going to go there. And last year, the first set of the final was excellent. Of course, there was that double break lead for Rybakina. She gets hurt a little bit there. There's some bleeding on the leg, but it only really provides like a momentum swing in the sense that there was a timeout. It's not like that, she was injured and she stopped playing well or something like that. Definitely not. But it did kind of slow her down a little bit, and after that, Iga takes over with a great performance there. Probably one of the best 2-set matches of last season, especially if maybe that second set was just a tiny bit tighter. So yeah, the expectations are high for sure. It's kind of wild that they're meeting in the quarters of an event, honestly, because we've been used to both of them being part of the top 4. Of course, Rybakina isn't there anymore, but if she can just like keep winning, as much as she is, then obviously second half of the year, she could really just like easily get back into that top 4. So I think it's possible that by year end, we're not really going to see them meeting at stages like this anymore. Would you say that this is a final already, like sort of a mini final of this event? It's probably a little bit too much, but like the winner of this is going to be the favorite to take the title, right?
They will, but there's still Ostapenko lurking around in the quarters, and that's not a pleasant matchup at all for you guys. We know there's still, Ons Jabeur, who's playing well, although Iga, it's more manageable for her, of course. And then on the top half, you still have Alexandrova. I mean, typically Alexandrova has been the type of player who, has one of these really big wins, but then you still don't really back her to like go all the way and win the title. But she's playing against Pegula. Like this is like if Swiatek wins this, I mean, she's basically gonna have to avenge most of her hardcourt slam losses in this 1 week. So it's still like good conditions for her, but she doesn't go into these matches like like guaranteed to win, like heavy favorite even after Rybakina. So I don't think it's a wait and see situation, but I do think she's gonna have to play better than she did today, because today like she found a way through. She was gritty, and that it was kind of like more of her Billie Jean King Cup type performances rather than.
And we're not used to seeing that in Doha, because since the opening round in 22, she was pretty much spotless here. Nurlan, if you didn't see any tactical change from Iga from when she was down, when Rybakina was serving for the set in the first set of the United Cup match, I think you should get off the drugs. What else? I mean, should be really fun. I had one more thing that I wanted to say, but now I don't remember what it was. So basically, that's me. Oh yeah, no, I know what I wanted to say. Give me Swiatek Ostapenko. I so want to see more of these matches. Whatever happens. I mean, I just want to see if this can be maintained by Elena somehow.
Yeah, they've only played twice since the start of 2022, and one was before the 37-match win streak. So like Ostapenko like isn't really consistent, so she doesn't really meet very often.
Yeah, there's a lot of tournaments when we're like thinking, oh, so yeah, Ostapenko is a potential semi-final opponent for Iga, or like this is a player that she has to avoid in her draw, but she barely makes it there. And obviously, you're right that since the win streak, since the explosion, we've only had one match. Although that one performance just before the win streak, it was like literally just before the win streak, the last loss. So kinda counts, kinda. And also it was in Dubai, but yeah, I mean it's definitely quite something, and there's a lot of numbers that support what you see with your eyes as well, that she is a unique player. And well, I'd love to see that kind of like thrown at Iga again. Not that Ostapenko Rybakina wouldn't be entertaining, and of course Ons Jabeur is by no means right now an easy win for Elena either. So yeah, should be an exciting rest of the event.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
Make a quick preview of Swiatek Rybakina, so we will do that. All right, so yeah, Swiatek Rybakina then. The head-to-head is on the screen. Of course, we had just had them playing at the United Cup. This is technically a better court for Swiatek for sure. Then again, last year their final was quite competitive. I think with Rybakina, we just have her playing back consistently right now after the second half of last season. I still don't know if she's like 100% in terms of her level, her fitness, but she is doing pretty well. So it's not like it's going to be a situation where we are kind of like afraid that she's not going to be able to deliver at least a good performance. I think we're not there really. So yeah, I'm just expecting a bit of a classic. Noskova today, she kind of showed that Iga might be vulnerable a little bit, especially if you can just like slam second serve returns, which kind of comes back as a topic for Swiatek from time to time. But yeah, the United Cup performance, we've kind of talked about it a lot, right? That at some point Iga makes a great tactical adjustment there when Rybakina is serving for the set, and from that point onwards, it's actually looked like a pretty repeatable strategy to like start moving her around and work the angles very well. She wasn't able to do it at all against Noskova today, though. So I don't know where that puts her, but it's one of her favorite courts in the world. She has to be like at least a slight favorite.
Yeah, I think slight favorite is just about right. I'm still expecting a close match. This is by no means one where you go in and you're like confident that Iga's going to win it. And so and yeah, Rybakina today won her match in straights. Iga, a bit of a tougher fight, and yeah, the return of serve. I wonder if Iga will make some kind of adjustment, even take like half a step back on that, because she's very stubborn about it in terms of her return position. We'll see if that comes into play. I mean, Noskova was hitting spots superbly. She had this amazing first serve rhythm that lasted, basically the whole match. And yeah, Elena Rybakina has shown a pretty high level. I agree. She's been a bit more up and down though than we're used to, like this time last year. So that's maybe something you can take advantage of. And yeah, we have seen some of the new things that Facet has already tried to bring in Iga's game. So I definitely see this being pretty tight. I don't see it not being close. But yeah, I make Iga a slight favorite based on the conditions and the fact that she just beat Rybakina last year, and also in a very tight match, and then also in United Cup mainly. So
yeah, February to April last year, you're obviously right that like Swiatek and Rybakina were the two best players on the planet. Then Sabalenka had that like lull, and yeah, right now it doesn't really feel like they have that much of an edge, but they're obviously still up there. It's kind of tough to say like who's really there at the moment, since Sabalenka and Goff both lost early. So we probably will know kind of like more going forward, but they're still definitely up there. They're still up there among the top 5, at least in terms of the level. And yeah, should be a very entertaining clash. I think it's definitely one of my favorite matchups on the circuit. Sometimes it can get a little bit too serve plus one heavy, like in Stuttgart. Like that was not as entertaining. But at the same time, like on this court, I don't think we're really going to go there. And last year, the first set of the final was excellent. Of course, there was that double break lead for Rybakina. She gets hurt a little bit there. Like there's some bleeding on the leg, but it only really provides like a momentum swing in the sense that there was a timeout. It's not like that, she was injured and she stopped playing well or something like that. Definitely not. But it did kind of slow her down a little bit. And after that, Iga takes over with a great performance there. Probably one of the best 2-set matches of last season, especially if maybe that second set was just a tiny bit tighter. So yeah, the expectations are high for sure. It's kind of wild that they're meeting in the quarters of an event, honestly, because we've been used to both of them being part of the top 4. Of course, Rybakina isn't there anymore, but if she can just like keep winning, as much as she is, then obviously second half of the year, she could really just like easily get back into that top 4. So I think it's possible that by year end, we're not really going to see them meeting at stages like this anymore. Would you say that this is a final already, like sort of a mini final of this event? It's probably a little bit too much, but like the winner of this is going to be the favorite to take the title, right?
They will, but there's still Ostapenko lurking around in the quarters, and that's not a pleasant matchup at all for you guys.
I added myself since they are basically starting just now. Iga about to serve.
And then
Rybakina Swiatek, of course, is a pretty good matchup, generally speaking. 4-3 for Elena still in the head-to-head. But the last 2 hardcourt meetings were actually won by Iga. One of them in Doha final of last year. The other one was just last month at the United Cup. We remember that match as one of these like ones where Iga actually showed that even on a pretty quick court, she has the ability to extend the point, and she has the ability to like work the angles and her spin quality in order to make Rybakina move a little bit. She wasn't playing like it at first. Of course, there was that like first 9 or 8 games when she played like she had to pee, but After that, she was doing fine. And Doha last year, that was a great comeback in the opening set as well. She was 1-4 down, double break, but managed to survive. Yesterday, a really difficult match for Swiatek against Noskova. That was, that was just a tough ordeal for sure. We'll see how she reacts to this, because this was the first set she lost in Doha since 2022, since the opening round of that edition, when she lost to Victoria Golubic. Well, lost a set to Victoria Golubic, not lost to her. Whereas Rybakina, well, she has a lot of off-the-court stuff going on at the moment, right? So it's not gonna be all that we don't really know like what her mindset is like at the moment, is what I'm trying to say. There was that Stefano Vukov ban, a lot of like weird stuff with the coaching situation, because she gets Ivan Isavic to join. Ivan Isavic leaves after a month when he realizes that he's not more important than Vukov. Now Davide Sanguinetti is also here with her. Davide was, of course, I don't know if he was a consultant or if he was the main coach actually when he was with Brandon Nakashima. I definitely remember seeing him in Danderit. Not sure if probably wasn't here. It wasn't in Koblenz with Brandon, but I think he was in Danderit when I watched him live at the turn of 23 and 24. Anyway, he is back in the coaching game here as a consultant for Rybakina, and he is with her here, owing to the fact that he can be at events, unlike Stefano Vukov. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes as well. Iga right now 30 all. There was a double fault. There was a sloppy error in there. We'll see. I mean, yesterday probably the main worrying part for Iga was that like against a player who sort of is like Rybakina in terms of the game of the ground, Noskova, she was not able to just be smart about it, really. It was just like a big struggle. She wasn't able to direct the ball around the court and move Noskova. She was under pressure and she wasn't always responding to it well. And also the second serve was like beyond awful. So yeah, getting the first one in probably quite important here. We'll see. The first game actually ends with Iga winning it to 30. There was a nice rally here at 30 all. She is able to get Rybakina on the stretch, and now a pretty sloppy error from Elena. You might remember that at the United Cup, it also was like a talking point that Rybakina wasn't playing too well, wasn't serving too well. If that is the case here too, then that would make this matchup a little easier for Iga, I think, for sure. Vukov's puppet for a year, says Maciej. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. Ivan Isavic wasn't ready with this, sort of wasn't okay with this sort of role where he's not the main guy. Whereas, because of the way that their deal looked, he was supposed to be the main guy. And the Sanguinetti might be a little bit more okay with it, because clearly, he knows what he's joining, right? Whereas Ivan Isavic just didn't. Hola Ozan. Some nasal strips on the screen. I don't really know why. I am okay for the whole match, yes. I mean, 6 p.m. CET should be fine too. But yeah. I think it should be fine for the whole match, basically, is what I'm trying to say. How many games do I think La Mojarra will get from Fonseca later today? Let's say 6 or 7, something like Echeverry yesterday. I mean, there is a part of me that thinks it could be difficult simply because Coria is, a good defender, counterpuncher, runner, really. And, there's also that like bit of history with the Alcaraz Rio run in 2020, right? When Alcaraz has a ridiculous win over Ramos Vignolas and then loses to Coria, and it's like, yeah, fine, he's 16, but a little bit of a disappointment, I suppose. It's kind of similar-ish here. Of course, Fonseca is at a very different stage of his career, but still kind of makes you think back to that Coria Alcaraz match. Maybe Coria can be a bit of a curveball again for a youngster, but realistically, they're not at the same quality level right now. So it would really be, it would just have to be a pretty poor showing from the Brazilian, I think, in order for Coria to win. What it is so far here is like a pretty poor start for Rybakina, that's for sure. She just looks slow off the ground, and Iga is taking advantage. Great backhand down the line there. She is trying to attack the second serve here. Doesn't work out, but could have been, still in trouble, Rybakina. A look at the coaching box of Iga Świątek, of course, as well. We've got Wim Fissette and Daria Abramovic in there, having a bit of a conversation. I guess there you also have, well, it's tough. It would be tough to call Fissette Abramovic's puppet, but I think some people would be able to say that, that actually the one calling the shots, pulling the strings in the Świątek box sometimes is Abramovic. Especially, I guess it was the case more with Viktorovski than with Fissette, but anyway, that's not really that important right now. Let's see. I mean, Rybakina kind of has to wake up here because again, she's so slow to that backhand down the line, and it's going to be a break point for Świątek in the second game. Last year when they played in the final, it was 4-1 Świątek, 4-1 Rybakina with a double break. And after that, it was when the match kind of got away from Elena. And starting slow against Iga, as we kind of have learned over the years, it's not really a way to win, right? I mean, usually when you let her get off to a good start, you're toast. Let's see. This is another extended point and another forehand error from Rybakina. Well, I guess the first forehand error in the game, but another error either way from Rybakina. This is more like the matches of Świątek from the past on this court right now. I mean, the courts are the conditions just look so slow, bouncy. It's kind of fascinating that it wasn't the case against Noskova yesterday. I mean, Linda just had such an easy time blasting through her shots even in these conditions. But I don't know. Rybakina just seems to be a little slow on her feet so far. We'll see. But the early break is for Świątek here. And if she can consolidate, it would feel like it's quite meaningful, that's for sure. Yeah, finally some nice combinations from Elena as well. Getting a couple of very deep forehands cross court. Iga trying to extend the point, but the kill down the line is not going to be gettable. Sorry for the sound you're going to hear pretty shortly, but I brought a can of Coke Zero with me today. It was just like lying around in my house for some reason. I don't know who bought it, but I was like, yeah, sure, I can drink it during the stream. I did actually play tennis just like 2 hours ago. Wasn't my best performance ever, to be honest. But now just relaxing with the stream on, and yeah, this can of Coke Zero. Hope you can hear it, sizzling. Or sizzling maybe is not the right word, but the chemical reaction. Anyway, 15-all. And once again, Rybakina is like really on the stretch. Świątek should be able to put this away. Does it pretty inventively, I'd say. Not like a proper smash, but still looked pretty routine. Lots of spin on that forehand down the line. It's safe. It gets the ball pretty high. Rybakina is just not too dynamic, as I said so far. You wouldn't think that Noskova and Rybakina, like there's this, is the difference in terms of their movement that huge? Like so far against Świątek, it's definitely looking like it. I don't know. We'll see. Of course, not writing off Elena yet. I think she definitely can move better than she is moving so far, but so far it's kind of like if she has her feet planted onto the ground and can produce her shots, she's fine. But literally just a few steps are difficult for her at the moment. As here as well. I mean, she doesn't need to go for like such a low margin forehand response, I think, but she does. And Świątek is 40-15 up. I mean, Elena, she's getting fine results this year. We aren't really in a scenario like last year at the beginning of the season when, like, besides the Australian Open, She was joined best in the world alongside Iga, and of course Arena was also in the mix considering she won the Australian Open, but other tournaments weren't going quite as good for her. But like, yeah, we had Elena and Iga pretty much as the best players in the world. We are not there right now, but she's still, getting wins every single event. United Cup, she was pretty strong at, loses to Iga. Australia, she loses to the eventual champion. Of course, Keys doing the incredible thing of just beating Rybakina, Swiatek, and Sabalenka at the same event. And then Abu Dhabi last week, fine match against Jabeur, fine match against Bencic, which she loses, but it's just quality opposition left and right that she's on losing to or having issues with. Peyton Stearns and Rebecca Shramkova this week, she delivered 2 straight set wins against them. And now she's got Swiatek on the move as well. This is a fine point from Iga. It's a very good effort to just stick around and gets that short backhand cross-court angle at the end too to get Rybakina off balance. It's a perfect start for her after about 10 minutes. I think 12 minutes. We are 3 love up for Swiatek. And Rybakina needs a quick response here. Oh, yeah, the producer is here. Okay. In terms of the face, but that's cool. Yeah, I will just carry on as normal. Absolutely. La Mojarra is Federico Coria. Yeah, he kind of it got very popular when he started the YouTube channel. What else was there? I'm catching up with the last 7 minutes of the chat. Thank you, Jake, for being such a dedicated listener. Elena's coaching thing is done. Vukov is still there, even if not personally. Yeah, absolutely. Ghosty, I went on a bit of a rant yesterday about this. I'm definitely a lot more conservative about this than most people in the tennis world are. I think for something like this to happen, like a ban or any punishment, there has to be a victim. And with Rybakina saying that it's fine, he shouldn't be punished because there's nothing to punish him for, I would leave it right there. But well, that's not, of course, under my control, really. I think it's a bit weird though that we're going above her head. I'm curious, Iga gonna react after that Noskova match. So far, she was comfortable, even though Rybakina looks poor. Yeah, it does feel like even though Rybakina is very slow, Iga is early on just comfortable. First of all, prolonging rallies, but also when she gets that opportunity to strike, she's had a couple of very good backhands down the line. That's the quality of hitting we couldn't really see until late in the match yesterday. Especially that tie break, right? You could just see all the pressure that Noskova is putting on Iga with the way that Iga approached the tie break. It was just trying to end every single point with the first shot, lots of errors. It was a nightmare. You could just see that she got incredibly nervous when she played Noskova yesterday. Whereas so far against Rybakina, she just looks comfortable. Doesn't seem like much is bothering her here. She misses the first 2 shots in this game, but then a great return 1-2 punch on the next one. Of course, she's already up a break, so can kind of afford some mistakes right now. I don't know that in Poland they teach backhands on both knees on the court. Yeah, they don't really. But of course, I can see the Radwańska Świątek comparisons. Angie Kerber as well, right? We can count her. She's basically Polish, and she's also a big fan of that shot. So for some reason it's a big thing in Poland, and it is kind of recognized that it came from us in a way. I've never played my backhand with 2 knees on the court. I do sometimes maybe off the forehand, but I can crouch a little bit, but I don't know, both knees, no, probably not. That's just I'm gonna leave that to Świątek, Radwańska, and Kerber. 2 of these players, of course, not around anymore, but Iga will be there for years to come, we'd hope. 30-all, and let's see if Rybakina can get out of this game without once more running into some major issues. Should be a decent combination for her. Iga stays in this, though. This won't be an easy smash. Iga defends a drive volley and then a smash from Rybakina. but some good composure from Elena to still claim the point. This could have went sideways like many times. Could have gone sideways. The scoreboard is ahead of DK. It might be, but I'm still using a pretty quick stream, so that's all I can do there, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna save my best performances for when I play Silky for sure. The one in Ashtori or Oeiras actually was really good, I think. I was really feeling the ball, like the control was there. But Porto, no. That was not a good showing. I do think we had some issues that like weren't really beyond, they weren't in our control really in terms of the conditions, the sun that day, the fact that for a while we didn't know that we have a water source, and just generally that hardcourt was like so slow and bouncy. And I felt like Daniel Medvedev when he was complaining about the hardcourt in Indian Wells and saying it's not a hardcourt. Well, once more it's deuce, but that's another good quick combo from Rybakina. That last backhand crosscourt, very precise. No, I've never tried the tweener lob. No, I mean I know that I would just like hit myself in the nuts. I've played a few frontal tweeners, especially like close to the net. Well, most of the time they're not executed well, but if you're close enough to the net, then even if you shank it a bit, it's going to go over, right? So if you play it in a good position, you can still win the point like this. But I never really tried tweeners. Yeah, I think I have a much better chance running around. You'd need to really train. Like you're not just gonna find the tweener. You're not just gonna run into a tweener on a tennis court. You'd have to really like actually train it in order to get it done. I don't think even Nick Kyrgios at the very beginning of his career was hitting tweeners left and right. I think that's also something he needed to work on. Anyway, first game for Rybakina after a pretty brutal net court. But she was better in this one. Like she did have a couple of really good combinations, even when she had that one where, okay, she could end it a little bit more clean, just quicker with the drive volley. Again, she just kept her composure nicely. So maybe it's a good sign of things to come for her. But yeah, of course, she is still down the break. And Iga looks pretty confident whenever she's ahead in the point. And she's ahead in the point quite a lot. Like it's not the Noskova match. Again, like you'd think Noskova Rybakina, it's a very similar playstyle. But so far these matches couldn't be any more different really, in terms of how the rallies are constructed, in terms of how much pressure there is on Iga, how comfortable she looks. Is it just a case of a good start? I don't know. Maybe there's actually like the difference between the dynamic, movement of Rybakina and Noskova. Maybe it's just that big. I don't know. Maybe for some reason it's Noskova's ball, which is just like a little bit more, pierces through the court a bit more. I don't know. Or maybe it will not be maintained. But that's the early feelings we have after a few games. These are the early feelings we have after a few games. That's an interesting pickup, that's for sure. Just deep, strong return down the middle from Rybakina. And Swiatek, I don't know, she just takes her right hand. It's not like a proper stroke, but she just pushes it back. Kind of reminds me of some Jakub Mensik, Hubert Hurkacz defense. But yeah, she gets the point as Rybakina misses the next shot. It's another strong return at the middle, but it's not going to do much damage. Swiatek handles the half volley pretty well. Yeah, so far Rybakina's returning for sure is not threatening to her, even when the return is pretty nice. It took Rybakina to it took a lot of power, it took a lot of like movements towards her right side of the court for her to produce it, and then she left it wide open on the other half. Let's see, one more deep return. This one is better. Again, Iga just like trying to pick it up with the forehand rather than actually hit through it. Carlos Joao matchup? I mean, in general, yes, but of course not during the Golden Swing, as Carlos is not playing it this time. But in the same way, I mean, Sinner Fonseca, Alcaraz Fonseca, I think, yeah, these are the matches we would like to get at least like one time this year. Will largely depend on Joao, right? And how far he goes in events. Also on obviously where he's drawn. Like we could literally get this match first round of the of the French Open. But yeah, we have 4-1 now. Okay. How would you compare Fonseca's ceiling in comparison to someone like Carlitos? Interested to hear what you think. Yeah, it's a difficult question. I mean, technically, his potential might be similarly unlimited. I think I've said a few times here that like he is a bit of a he is a bit of a, let's say, a mix of Sinner's and Alcaraz assets. Sinner with the like violent acceleration of both wings, despite not being even like that strong, in terms of the muscles or something like that. Definitely, just in terms of the movement on the defense, the slides, he's very similar to Sinner. And Alcaraz more with like the freedom in his transition game and just like kind of how much more of an all court player he is, and then creativity compared to Yannick. Is he just as talented as they are? I mean, it's so hard to actually measure that. I honestly don't know what to say about to this question, but like, yeah, if you're asking me if Joao Fonseca will be winning slams, I think he probably will. Carlos Alcaraz, I probably was a touch more excited by when he was 15, 16, but I don't know. Maybe at some point we also kind of stopped being like this heavy on young talents because we had Sinner and Alcaraz and Rune and guys who made it to the top so quickly, and they kind of weren't like the first. But when Alcaraz was there in 2020, especially that Rio run, like it just felt like the first player since the big three to basically look like he is destined to win. And since then we've gotten a few guys like this. So maybe that's why it's like very tough to say that he is the one. Whereas with Carlos, I think everybody when he was already 15, 16 was saying, yeah, I mean, this guy is just winning multiple slams, number one. And that was kind of the conversation. So maybe it's that setting that kind of makes it difficult to just say, yeah, Fonseca is right up there with these people. But he could be. I mean, I don't know if his talent is limited by anything yet. His returning is pretty poor compared to Sinner, definitely. But like, you can learn that, right? Hopefully, you can learn that. I hope. His movement defensively, I mean, even though it's, as I said, it has shades of Sinner. It will need work, but who says that he won't be able to perform it? Who says that he won't be able to improve in these departments? And yeah. Well, 30 love for Rybakina, but now we have another good one to punch from Swiatek on the return. I think she's been pretty aggressive with her returning since going down. I mean, since going up 3 love, which of course seems quite natural, and then definitely not something you can criticize her for. Hasn't led to anything yet, but that last game even was pretty difficult. That second serve barely clears the net from Rybakina, and she will play this flat forehand down the middle that makes Swiatek shank hers. Yeah, did I say forehand? Yeah, shank her. That was gonna be enough. Anyway, 40-15. Looking for that second game on the board. Of course, Rybakina, after a slow start, she's just like trying to restore some balance and eventually maybe get some chances at a comeback. 2-4 down now. Swiatek just 2 holds away and so far hasn't struggled much on serve. So let's see if that is going to be the case in the next couple of games too. Coke Zero is a relatively new thing, right? Like I think it was like maybe 15 years ago when it started being popular. Earlier there was Diet Coke. I don't even know what they are. Like what's the difference? But I think in Poland Diet Coke basically doesn't exist anymore. Like it's all Coke Zero. Was Diet Coke just like a middle ground between Coke Zero and Diet Coke and regular Coke? I don't know. It's a very important topic for this match for sure. I wonder what Iga likes to drink in her free time. Well, ace down the tee. This is definitely gonna help. Not much that Rybakina is able to do on the return so far, but I do think the quality of Iga's serving is also better than against Noskova. I might actually check out some stats. Of course, she's gonna have good stats in terms of like winning her first serve and second serve points so far, simply because she's winning a lot on her serve. But yeah, there's just not that much pressure really that Rybakina is applying, or even after the second serve. This is a long point. Let's see if this is one of the ones where, yeah, again, just like staying in the rally is gonna win it for Iga eventually. Of course, earlier today we had one Doha quarterfinal already. That was between Alexandrova and Pogula, and Alexandrova ended up winning. Alexandrova tends to be one of the more difficult opponents for Iga generally, right, on tour. So she could still get like Ostapenko and Alexandrova, for example, if she beats Rybakina today. That would be pretty rough. And especially as these are just like matches when, yeah, she has to be on the back foot so much. But so far on her serve, she's not really even forced to defend all that much here. And yeah, it's another good combination. First ball forehand once more with so much spin, so much margin to Rybakina's backhand. Elena is barely defending herself. And then a drive volley and smash combination for Iga. So yeah, 5-2, 73% first serve so far. And even on second serve, she's 5 out of 6. Actually, that 1 point that she lost on second serve so far was a double fault from Iga. So that's kind of striking and something that Rybakina has to change quickly. We are 5-2 anyway. Yeah. As John says, apparently he wants to do a qualifying Rio, preview for Rio qualifying. We'll do it either today or tomorrow. We'll see. 13 minutes, wow. Yeah, 13 minutes is just, no, sorry, never mind. I was just looking at how much I'm behind in the chat. Jake says that he hasn't had the same level of interest in Rybakina since she was rude in that press conference. I guess it's the one where she was like barely responding to questions, right? Yeah, that was a bit rough. I mean, she also had she also had some tough experiences with the press. Like when she wins Wimbledon in 2022, right? She's just like constantly getting questions about politics and not really about her or tennis. Which I mean, it kind of needed to be like this. I think she was just like unfortunate with that. But it's also not really the fault of the press that this was the biggest topic at the time, considering that Russian and Belarusian players were not able to play, and Rybakina, because of her Kazakhstan switch years earlier, but still was able to compete. But I would be pretty angry if I showed up at a press conference and I'm like throwing out a question and she answers in 3 words. Like, yeah, that's angry. Maybe is a stretch, but like, yeah, I would be like, okay, yeah, if you want to play it like this, sure, but why? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to check the BJK Cup. I mean, it's not that. I don't know. Watching one of my favorite challenger players play. Who did you watch? I don't know. Who could it be? Yeah, I have no idea actually who you're referencing, Jake. So I'm not gonna give you any spoilers since I have no clue. Well, 1540 here from Swiatek's perspective. She finds this beautiful return down the line. I think that might have been the first serve, I think. Yeah, she just like unloads into it. Didn't have much time, obviously, but that also means that Rybakina had zero opportunity to react. Can she get the game? Well, it's a longer exchange already, and Swiatek once more has her on the move. I mean, yeah, if the ball is like this slow and high on Iga's side of the court, and she has the opportunity to produce this angle, it's not looking good for Rybakina, definitely. There's just no early pressure in the points from her. If the serve doesn't set it up, right? So like on return, it's difficult, and any rally that goes neutral, the movement gap is just so huge here. Is this out from Rybakina? Is this a set point, or did she just Did she just get it on the line? No, it is a set point. Yeah, this is looking like a very dominant 6-2 set if she claims it here. I mean, no issues on serve whatsoever. Breakpoint for Swiatek. Second serve as well. Well, you know she's gonna try to attack it right away. Goes pretty deep with the backhand. Still, the rally is neutral. It's a big strike from Rybakina. Once more, Swiatek is on the ground. I mean, twice bending so low here. And she is going to survive this. So, yeah, I mean, she's just really good today at responding to this flat hitting pressure from Rybakina. The serving has been pretty good, and like Elena hasn't produced anything on return. And it's a very quick 6-2 set. It's just not really what we usually expect from them in this matchup. Sure, it's Doha. It's Swiatek's, well, basically one of her favorite courts in the world, if not the favorite, alongside Indian Wells maybe, and Philippe Chatrier. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that this has been so lopsided so far, especially when we have that comparison to the Noskova clash from yesterday, right? So like she's playing Linda, and Linda is just such a similar player theoretically in terms of the basics to Elena, but she's playing Linda yesterday, and everything is a struggle. And if that match was like a 6-2, 6-4 or something like that, I probably would be expecting something more or less similar to against Elena today. But so far, we're just not getting that at all. I mean, any rally that goes neutral, you can see that Iga has so much more quality in terms of the spin, the angle, the precision with which she plays. So many points where she's just like, yeah, surviving 2 or 3 big shots from Rybakina, like the set point, and eventually getting it done. So far, it's just been a very clinical, almost flawless performance. Rybakina not able to deliver anything on return, not able to, especially move too well in the points. And well, so far the even I would say the semifinal is, well, yeah, I mean, just not as competitive as we would have expected. Let's see if this continues, but we might actually be in for a slightly shorter match than we would have thought. Zubergs beat Nuno Borges in the meantime in Marseille. Of course, Buenos Aires and Delray Beach action coming up later as well. And Zhizhen Zhang just broke Hubert Hurkacz in the first game of their match. So that's the first one. That's the first. Sorry, yeah, that's another Pole playing right now. Does Ryba have a temporary coach? I mean, not temporary, but yeah, Davide Sanguinetti is here with her as a consultant, and Vukov is the main one, despite being banned. I mean, I didn't see the picture of Elpeke and Isner when they played doubles together in Rome, but I did watch their run. I actually did rewatch some of it as well recently because I was writing an article on Diego, and I included that as like one of his I included that as like one of his most memorable moments. I like that comment from Jake. Quite a few alcohol brands in there before Coke Zero. Yeah, I think you're right, Maciej, that Iga is an amazing front runner. Like most of the times when we see Iga struggle, it's like when the first few games are tough, right? And then the rhythm, kind of, she needs to find it. And when she's on it right away, usually the matches are very, very short. I find that this is a funny question from Keen. Funny comment as well from Keen. Some ridiculous prices, by the way, for the stringing and everything. But well, be careful with those fake sugars. I mean, currently, I think the science that we have at the moment is suggesting that like artificial sweeteners are basically only dangerous above a certain rate if you consume it too much during the day. And well, in order to consume too much of it, I think I would have to drink like 20 cans of this. So besides, I rarely drink Coke Zero. It was really just like lying in my parents' house for some reason, and I figured why not. I do eat some like protein thingies, like I don't know, protein pudding or something like that. Like I eat that stuff, and that has a lot of sweeteners too. But it's okay. But of course, I also understand that the food science is like a very quickly evolving branch, really, and in a couple of years we might have completely different views on what's healthy and what's not. Volleys as a defensive play? What do you mean? I mean the pickups that she was getting. I think it was still a half volley for the most part. But yeah, I mean, staying closer to the baseline and then doing that's not something too usual for her either. But on the two occasions where I think she got it back in play, I believe she won the point. Oh, finally, we have a strong return from Rybakina that wins her the point. She was kind of missing that in the opening set, that's for sure. Missing in both sense, in both meanings of the word. But yeah, because the second serve was so weak, the angle on Rybakina's serve just unable to get there. Swiatek. And once more, she is in trouble here in the point. So it's love 30. I think for the first time in this match, Rybakina has some sort of an early lead on the Swiatek serve, and let's see. This might be a pretty key game in terms of how the second set is gonna go. Maybe this time it's Rybakina who can get off to that great start. Needs more quality returning here. Will she get it? It's a good serve down the middle. I'm actually surprised. I mean, at the body, I'm surprised that Rybakina was able to survive. She still doesn't win the point, but at least she got into the exchange. Was definitely not in the right position to play that return, really, but she was able to move away in time. And still 15-30 though. She was the one to crack first in a pretty fast-paced baseline exchange. It's kind of one of the first ones we've had like this. Usually Iga is trying to avoid points like this. The returning is solid from Rybakina this set though. And this time it's her. I mean, she's kind of the one surviving in the point here and extending it to a moment where eventually she gets the initiative. She has the initiative, but Swiatek is defending to save her life. Once more, I mean, how is she still in this one? But yeah, great combination from Rybakina in the end. This is the kind of point that I guess she was losing in the opening set. So gets 2 break points out of this. The defense from Swiatek here, I mean, it was not that challenging for Rybakina, but still, there were four or five more shots, that she had to put in because of what Iga was doing from the back of the court, way behind the baseline. So anyway, 2 break points for Rybakina. First time we have a situation like this in this match. Second serve as well. Well, this is your chance, Elena, if you're supposed to make this much competitive. Her returning is really good this game, but Swiatek kind of survives for now. And yes, she will get that error from Elena eventually. Any player ever been short or annoyed with you in terms of their answers during pressers? During pressers, I don't think it's ever happened to me. One-on-one, Elias Immer, Thiago Seibovild. Yeah, Thiago Seibovild especially. But during pressers, I don't think I've ever had a situation like this, no. And well, another good return from Rybakina, so she gets the game. I think she put all 6 returns in play this game, which already was massive. And yeah, some also like good efforts in terms of this time she being the one who like survives a couple of big shots from Iga, even being moved to the backhand corner. This time she was able to like get 2 rackets on it and not just basically play something that is like a Hail Mary attempt. So yeah, good start to the second set for her. According to the stats we have on the screen, yeah, like 9 winners and 11 unforced errors, I think, from Iga in the opener, and Rybakina was at 5-15. 15 unforced errors, though? That's pretty harsh. Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, would have to go back and count, but some of these WTA stats, we know that they can be a bit brutal sometimes. Rincon against Kachin, okay. So Rincon is one of your favorites, sure. I'm not gonna spoil anything then. Yeah, maybe both, Maciej. Maybe you're right. I still haven't caught up with the chat. I'm still 8 minutes ago, but that's fine. Has Morgado talked about Swiatek playing the match of her entire life? Haven't been on Twitter, but it could be. Ethnically Han, Zhang, sure. Only 3 sets. I do feel for. Okay, so you're saying for the match of the week conversation we had yesterday. I don't know. I think sometimes we are too quick to overlook a couple, matches that have ended in 2 sets. In terms of the year-end lists, in terms of that, the conversation of like, yeah, matches of the week and matches of the tournament. But I understand. I mean, I definitely tend to gravitate towards 3 setters more. I think in Lille, though, it was the clear best match of the week still, despite being just 2 sets. Yeah, I don't really know the science behind that ghost either in terms of the sugar and alcohols. I just know the alcohols don't have calories and sugars do. And that's kind of all I know about artificial sweeteners. But hopefully we will arrive at in a world at some point where like sugars will be mostly eliminated from the shops. If we do actually find out that artificial sweeteners are like 100% safe for us, even beyond that dosage that right now is considered okay. But yeah, it's an evolving branch of science for sure. Well, Rybakina has to save 2 breakpoints here. Okay. I was looking at that smash and I really wasn't sure. She was. I mentioned earlier that like she's the best ball striker and she's like has got her feet planted on the baseline and just doesn't have to move much. I think that's kind of how she played this one too. Like just planted her feet and then the ball is a little further than she expects and she doesn't move an inch, but she still survived, so that's okay. I mean, she landed the shot. And she also lands a great serve here with a good +1 forehand to follow it. It was a short ball, needed some feeling on it. So she saves the 2 breakpoints. I think about 15-20 minutes ago, Maciej was saying that like the +1 combinations for for Elena have to be a lot more efficient, and this is the kind of point that I think you meant. Of course, it comes at such an important moment too, the second break point. Let's see what happens at deuce. Is the angle in there from Iga? I think it was, but Rybakina surprised her with this like forehand line. You could see that Iga already leaned right, then had to make up for it very quickly, and because of that, she was unable to tolerate that shot. Literally, like, she was just unable to absorb the pace of it. And that's game for Rybakina. So she's got that early lead now in the second set, and who knows? Maybe it will be enough for her to claim the opening set. I mean, for Iga, the early break in the opener was. But yeah, we have a match now on our hands. At least that's something that we can say, right? I mean, if the opening set was just like if the second set was just like the opener, would have been a pretty lopsided bummer-ish match, even considering the expectations we have for this matchup for the most part. But right now, we do have them playing at a pretty high level both, and let's see if Rybakina can keep delivering. Still hasn't missed a return this set, which seems to be really, really crucial. Especially as she's now even winning longer points against Iga. She's also like moving much better since that toilet break, really. I don't think she, had a foot massage or anything like that during the toilet break, but since coming back onto the court, she is moving much better. A certain friend of mine loves this word fluid when it comes to describing a player's movement, and especially how they defend in the corners. And Rybakina will never be the most fluid mover, but she is looking better in this set. There's no way she can respond to this, though. It's another one of these like pretty aggressive second serve returns, but because she has to like line up for it and Iga reads the direction of it very well, it just leaves the other half of the court wide open. Doesn't quite, especially on this court, it doesn't quite generate the pressure that Elena was hoping for. I'm done with my Coke Zero now. I'll have to find my water, but I'll do that shortly. Oof. Yeah, that was a bit of a wild miss. That's fine, though. Alison van Uitvank was pretty rude to another journalist in the press. I know that the producer has had an interesting interaction with, but I think it was Hriet Minen, so her former, I don't know if wife or anyway fiance or whatever, but obviously the player that she was involved in the past. And well, the producer didn't know that they broke up, and he kind of like mentioned something about that, and yeah, it was a touch unpleasant from what I hear. But yeah, I've never been in a press room with Alison van Uitvank. My WTA experiences in this regard have been very, very limited. Most of the polls I've been in the same room with. Iga, yeah, plenty at these Warsaw events. Muchova, I've been at a presser with Paulini. But yeah, I mean they were great. So not much I can complain about there. $40-30. long exchange, backhands down the middle. Rybakina gets to her forehand. And wow, Iga just so quick to take over when she got that angle kind of like opened up for her. And she gets the first game in the second set, but still down a break, of course. Kind of like the big, test of Rybakina's durability in this matchup today will be whether she can hold on to this for as long as possible or for as long as needed. Yeah. I mean, Jake, I absolutely get that. If you are an Abdullah Shelby fan, yeah, Daniel Rincon plays virtually the same game. I did enjoy their matchup, and generally their matches so far, I think they've been fine. There are obviously some differences. Abdullah for sure plays like more creatively than Daniel, but the basics are the same, right? Obviously the leftiness, the way that they like throw in so much spin from that forehand, and then backhands are much flatter as like for most lefties, and I don't know, just that's a similar way of approaching the game as a whole. Not much in terms of offensive weapons, but very good of the back foot counter punchers. They do have very similar games. Yeah, I mean, I think because of what you said, you know what the brutal answer is, and the brutal answer is neither. I mean, I really am struggling to come up with an answer like who has the higher ceiling, because I think neither will ever be like a main tour player, at least not in the long term. If you told me they can ever like break into the top 100, maybe for a few weeks, maybe for like 90 something, I don't know. But Rincon, I remember very well from that Yuncheng Shang US Open final, and I just remember thinking, okay, so Shang is losing this match, but he's so much better than Rincon. Like it was almost painful to watch, because you could see that the winner today is not the player who is like pushing himself for more, and like the player who is I don't know, just trying to execute his game at a higher standard. It was actually the player who was just like straight up more consistent on the day. It would be good for Daniel to just like come back to that level he was at in the summer of 23, when he was making semis at challengers like so regularly. But he can look very good on the day. Like the semi against Medjedovic in Oeiras, I think it was fantastic. The Fonini clash in Alicante, which I watched live last year, I was very entertained. Maybe Rincon. Yeah, I guess I'd side with Rincon, but I think their seedings are pretty similar, just like their games. Anyway, love 30 here. So Rybakina once more has to be a little cautious. Last service game, she had 2 breakpoints to defend. Ooh, you might remember a brutal netcord in the opening set going Rybakina's way. Now we have an even worse one maybe for Swiatek, considering it's now love 40 because of it. Yeah, that's just... Well, I said that this was going to be a challenge for Rybakina now to kind of show us that she can just keep holding from here. Well, now it's an even bigger challenge, obviously. This game can be over in like a minute, 15 seconds if she makes an error here. She doesn't. It's a great combination. It's, yeah, again, super deep, which helps her open the court, get the shorter ball. And she's also very precise on the cross-court forehand. Again, kind of like an ideal point, I suppose, for Elena, where she's just standing in place, and the most she does is like 2 free steps either direction. But yeah, still two opportunities to break for Iga. So ooh, yeah, doesn't handle the kicker from Rybakina too well here. Swiatek, well, just one more chance now. Yesterday it was Swiatek who was, until a certain moment in the match was saving all of her breakpoints, right? It was like 0 out of 6 maybe for Noskova for a while Iga didn't really get any opportunities, as Linda was serving incredibly well. And there's the ace. So 5 out of 5 in this set, Rybakina so far. Yeah, 2 great points, obviously, ace and that nice combo, but also the second serve return, should have been at least in play from Iga. And we have it on our screens as well that the breakpoint saved in the opening set. She's 0 out of 2. She was 0 out of 2, Rybakina, and this set she's 5 out of 5. Which is, of course, yeah, kind of how she's still ahead in this one. It's a similar return now, the second serve kicker from Rybakina, and this time Swiatek at least puts it in play, but she loses the backhand cross-court exchange. I think this set we are seeing a little bit maybe too much of this, though. Like just like trying to out-hit each other from like the middle position on the court. We didn't really get any rallies like this in the opener. And now Rybakina is like luring Swiatek into that type of play a bit more. Should have this game, and she does. And Iga even hits her racket onto the ground. Rybakina, I think, heard the sound and was kind of like, whoop, whoop, what's happening? But yeah, Iga visibly frustrated that she didn't get the break in this one. Oh no, she didn't actually touch the ground. It was just her shoe, but apparently it was loud enough for Rybakina to hear it, considering her reaction. So she is 3-1 up, Elena. It's a break nonetheless, even if she had to work for her holds so far. Does that mean that she basically hasn't had an easy hold the entire match? I think the one that she got in the opening set was deuce, the one that she claimed after the net court. And I think maybe she had 1-15, right? So yeah, generally serving has been tough for her. I mean the holds. But well, as long as she's up a break, who cares, right? Yeah. I think one break against Iga is unlikely to be enough. But by now, she held 5. She saved 5 break points. Maybe it actually will be. How many languages is Paolini fluent in? I have no idea. I mean, Italian, obviously. English, obviously. Polish, she's... Well, I don't know what counts as fluent. She's probably not fluent in Polish, but she does speak it relatively okay. I know she preferred talking in English in terms of the, tennis topics. It was just like more natural for her. Of course, the Polish journalists were trying to push her to talk Polish a little bit more. What was the longest match you ever sat and did a live watch along for? I mean, it would have to be like a 5-setter somewhere, right? Or maybe it was just Djokovic Prizmic. Well, Ozan, we did a watch along for Marei Kokinakis in Australia, but the problem is that that was at the end of a watch along that lasted 15 hours. But I guess maybe this one, yeah, maybe Marei Kokinakis in Australia. That makes sense. Andy Murray, Tanasi Kokinakis, yeah. But it's just tough to count it, because it wasn't like a singular stream, right? It was a stream where we were just like sitting through the entire days of the day of play. So maybe that's why it's kind of tough to count it. Anyway, quick hold for Iga. Let's see if she can keep pressuring Rybakina's serve and maybe get the break this time. Can Herbert cause this version of Medvedev problems on indoor hard? No, the courts are very slow in Marseille. He used to be a tough matchup for Medvedev. I mean, you can see why, right? I just don't know if I believe in it at the moment. I can actually tell you I don't. I mean, if Medvedev loses to Herbert today, he should honestly like almost retire. Like that's kind of where we are, right? He really needs some rhythm now, some confidence, and getting a draw like this, Pierre Herbert, who is so far past his prime. Yeah, I gotta do it. I understand that there are some issues in terms of how he matches up against players like Herbert, who can approach the net, who can just serve out of their minds sometimes. But with the current state of PHH's or P2H's ground game, I just don't know if it's possible, to be honest. They obviously had a very good Marseille clash in 2021 in the final, when actually Pierre probably had his best event ever, defeating Tsitsipas for, I think, the biggest win of his career, number 5 at the time, and then losing to Medvedev, who was number 3. So, yeah, I think 4 years later, I don't care how Medvedev is looking at the moment. I think Herbert just isn't the same player anymore. And yeah, the courts are really slow. Like Medvedev had 0 power to push past Khachanov, just had to be like more consistent than him, which on the day he was. But yeah, it was pretty striking that like he can't create anything on a court like this. I don't think they're Rotterdam, but I think they are pretty slow. Daniel Altmaier is in the quarters too, right? He defeated Nardi and Virtanen, and it's back to back with the Rotterdam quarters. We've got so many slow indoor courts right now, especially on the ATP tour, that I think it's like seriously changing the meta. Players who are strong in slow indoor conditions, or like in general these like slow/fast combinations, because you have indoors but the court is slow, like they're gonna be strong. Someone like Medvedev, he's in the quarters here. Like that's his perfect court, right? More or less. Maybe he would like a slightly faster indoor one or altitude clay, but like yeah, that also exists. So obviously it's not the thousands or the Grand Slams don't have courts like this, but the 250s do, and you might actually make a career of it. Jiren Zhang was in the quarterfinals last year in Marseille. I think that's another player who likes it slow indoors, altitude clay, something like this. Right now he's up a break on Hubert Hurkacz. Anyway, 30 love. Swiatek so far not threatening in this game. She just makes a couple of errors. One like quick point here for Rybakina and the game would probably be done. I don't know if it's going to be quick though. I think she just narrowly misses this cross-court forehand. A little bit disappointed at that. We have the close corner screens. Yeah. Pretty narrow, but still sizable. So 30-15 for her right now. I mean, could use one of the rare quick holds she has gotten in this match. Probably the second one only. Obviously, the last 2 games, they were really difficult for her. 2 breakpoints, 3 breakpoints. Both situations were in a row too. But yeah, Iga is just missing a lot of neutral shots in this game. And probably that's going to be enough for Elena to take over and get that 4-2 lead. And by that point, we would be pretty close to a deciding set. Does she find the return winner, Swiatek? I'm not sure. I think it might have been another narrow miss there. Yeah, I was trying to hunt the line, but it's not going to be in the court. So 4-2 Rybakina. This was a pretty safe hold for her. But to be honest with you, most of that was just like Swiatek's errors. Now that she's down a break, she's looking a little bit more frustrated, nervy for sure. You had that like racket-ish, I can't say it was a racket smash, but she hit her racket off the shoe, and like you could see it was a reaction to not breaking from love 40. And now, yeah, just neutral ball errors that she wouldn't have made in the opening set. She's not like quite done in the second set yet, but obviously at this point she is pretty close to dropping it. 2-4, Swiatek serving. Let's see. Can we get an exchange of 6-2 sets? It certainly doesn't feel like Elena's lead in this set is, bigger than what Iga had in the opener. But yeah, she saved those 5 breakpoints, and she is still in the driver's seat. Her returning is really nice this set as well. Once more, she has a nice one in play. Now let's see if Iga can out-rally her the way she was doing in most of the first set. No, not at all. Rybakina gets pushed wide to the forehand, but she just like smacks a beautiful hard response. I think Iga was expecting a switch up for some reason there. She kind of leaned left again. And yeah, just wasn't gonna even chase that forehand cross-court bullet from Rybakina. So 15-all, and things are getting increasingly difficult. I think she just missed that first serve too. Likely gonna be an ace if it finds the line, but no. That was a really slow second serve. The kick on it was still relatively difficult for Rybakina. Like you can see her return barely clears the net. But I'd like to see like how fast it was. Was it 111? Was that what I saw on the backboard there? I'm not sure. I'm not getting like a bit better angle at it, so I'm not positive. But maybe it was 111. Well, go set the body here. She's approaching the net. Okay, decent reaction. I did think she was gonna miss it. Just because that Rybakina pass was like, well, it wasn't even a pass. It was just like going at Iga. Is it a passing shot if you are going directly at your opponent? Because I mean, you don't expect to pass them, right? I mean, just expect them to miss. You expect them to have not enough time. So I don't know if we can call it a passing shot. I guess we would, but ooh, there's some well, Hurkacz is apparently getting some physio attention in Marseille. I don't think it's a pre-existing issue we knew about, right? He was fine in Rotterdam. Well, from that volley action, looks like Iga maybe has saved herself in this set. I mean, 40-30 now. And can she just claim it to keep herself within just one game of Rybakina? Let's see. Another good return for Elena. Trading backhands cross. Going really deep at Iga in the middle, and this time the Pole is unable to absorb the pressure. It's looking more and more like that Noskova match from yesterday, like for sure. Things were just like so easy and comfortable in the opening set for Iga. It was, as I said, kind of difficult to understand why, considering how Noskova and Rybakina, at least in the Swiatek matchup, are very similar players. But yeah, now it's like back to that kind of like struggle town where yeah, even if she's gonna win this set, it will just take work. It will be a tough ordeal. Iga is not really used to working hard for her Doha wins, is she? I mean, 2023, of course, was the famous edition where okay, she only had to play 3 matches, but she lost 5 games. And that's something that might never be repeated. Of course, now back then it wasn't a 1000, it was 500, so that does kind of shift the perspective a little bit, because it was only 4 matches for her at the time, and well, she only needed to play 3 of them since she got 1 walkover. Now with 1 walkover she would have to play 4 in Doha, so I mean, yeah, even that's a little bit different. Anyway, deuce now. Oh yeah, that was something that we saw a lot of in that opening set. The forehand down the line played with so much margin, so much quality of spin, and to that backhand corner, Rybakina just not defending too well. She doesn't get 2 hands on it again. She's like trying to slice it back, but it's another difficult game for Iga. There hasn't been a break point, but some tricky moments for sure. But she has one more opportunity to get us to 4-3 and extend her chances of winning this set. Well, Rybakina is up early in this one. She tries to switch line, though. It's a pretty uncomfortable shot, and Iga stays within that one break. But yeah, things are looking pretty difficult, not gonna lie. Does Iga have a boyfriend? I feel like I know nothing about her private life. I mean, as far as we know, she doesn't, and I would say she probably doesn't have a private life, really. Like, that's kind of how it seems, right? The Daria is like setting up everything for her, really. And yeah, I don't think she has like a huge private life. I think everything is like focused on on tennis, on being the most professional and the most hardworking she can possibly be. Doesn't I mean I don't know, Ghosty, but yeah, this is just speculation. Maybe she is. I don't know. What is my favorite court in terms of watchability on tour? I'm not going to pick a challenger carpet event, also because there's no challengers on carpet anymore. I did enjoy my time in Ismaning in 2023, but to be honest with you, yeah, I think it's good as a one week thing. Like in general, it's not the most exciting tennis to watch. Uh Jesus. I mean, as a kid, I used to love the Halle Queens week. Like that's one that I always definitely enjoyed. Right now, I think Poznan is held in at the same time. So for the last couple of years, I haven't watched too much of it. But like as a kid, Halle was probably my favorite court to watch in the world. Kind of struggling with this answer for sure. I mean, a lot of clay courts kind of do feel the same. So I guess you'd have to go for something with like a more unique court profile. It's definitely not like Indian Wells or something like that. Could be Shanghai. I think Shanghai usually produces some very good tennis, and the conditions are, they fit the type of players that I tend to enjoy watching. So yeah, maybe something like Shanghai or Cincinnati. That's probably where I would gravitate. Obviously, you can't go wrong with like Wimbledon either, right? I mean, it's Wimbledon. It does have some sort of like special feeling to it. Stuttgart on the women's side, right? I think Stuttgart is fantastic to watch. Depends, like the Rybakina Swiatek encounter we got there last year actually was probably one of their worst. But most matches, I think, in Stuttgart, they tend to really deliver. It kind of started for me with the Laura Siegmund runs of 2017-16, right? I mean, she was just incredible there. And then the variety that she was bringing in and just constantly troubling top players at that venue. I think Stuttgart might be my favorite event on the WTA tour. Yeah, I mean, this is looking a bit difficult for Rybakina again. Sanguinetti is looking on edge. 1530. Had some early pressure in the previous point, but then it didn't amount to much, and she just committed an error eventually. Let's see if this point is similar. Some very good defense from Swiatek again, and it does the trick. I mean, if Rybakina lands that last backhand cross court, there's nothing that Iga could have done from that position. But again, it's just more about extending the point of 4 or 5 shots more, and eventually, in most cases, you might get that error from the Kazakh, from the player representing Kazakhstan, I guess, just so nobody is angry at me. Anyway, 5 out of 5 on breakpoint saves Rybakina this set. Let's see if she can make it a 7 out of 7. She's approaching the net here, but the pass is going to be too good from Swiatek. I mean, both ways. You can criticize Elena here. The approach was nowhere near good enough. She was like very slow in transitioning to the net, but again, it's not really part of her strengths, right? So, But yeah, Iga also able to take advantage with this beautiful curvy forehand passing shot. Great stuff. And we are back on serve in the second set. I mean, considering how most of the set has been going, kinda deserved. I mean, they really haven't been. I think I said it earlier, right? That like the first set you had just total domination, and then it doesn't feel like it's the same. Obviously, in Rybakina's favor in the second set, because all of the games have just been like so close, and she's saving all of these breakpoints. But yeah, Swiatek is back on serve now, and who knows? Maybe this is the moment when she steps up even more. Let's see if Rybakina has anything in store for us in this return game. The one that Iga played previously was actually quite difficult, right? Before that changeover. Well, that's another error from Rybakina coming in this longer point. She needed some very high intensity to like stay ahead in this set. And now that she doesn't have that break, for now at least, it doesn't seem like she's replicating it. Oh, the producer has disappeared. I hope you guys are haven't been there without the score for too long. I think he should be back because he said that 6 p.m. CET is his max. But if he's not there in like 2 or 3 minutes, I'll probably try to get the score for you. Oh yeah, he is back. Well, I missed this last point, but Rybakina won it apparently. It's a professional stream, right? I mean, I should have the stream on like a different screen to where I have the chat, but well. Oh, I saw the replay of it. It was a return winner from Elena. Kind of rare in this match. I think definitely more rare than she would be hoping for against Iga, especially if the second serve of the Paul was as weak as it was yesterday. That's a crazy point here, and Rybakina should be winning it. Yeah. I mean, Iga had this very, very deep forehand, which I think she thought she missed. Rybakina thought she missed it, but she played it back. Elena just like it fell right behind the net. Iga is not able to like come up to it in time, and she is not in good position on the volley. So 30-all suddenly. Seems like there was a bit of a collapse there of rally tolerance for Rybakina in the last couple of games, but now she's actually 30-all, and of course this will be a difficult moment for the Paul. Second serve. We've had a return winner this game already. Gotta be cautious here. What will she go for with that second serve? Will it be that very slow kicker again? Not really. It's pretty deep. Rybakina still on the attack though. She's got Swiatek on the move. Phenomenal response, but Rybakina still ahead. Some of these counters here from Swiatek are so strong, but it's actually Rybakina who's gonna claim this backhand cross-court exchange in the end. I mean, not much I can say here about how Iga approached the point, right? She was always on the back foot after the second serve. But there were a few shots that like just like generally would win her the point here. Because usually Rybakina is not able to keep it up for this many strokes in a row. Well, she was on this occasion. And the break point here could be one of the most crucial moments of this match or set. It's a good serve, and I think the Rybakina return goes out just by a tiny bit. Yep. Well, let's see. Elena is still pressuring hard on this deuce point, and Swiatek tries to find that opportunity to slam her forehand line, get that counter strike, but not on this occasion. This time she probably didn't choose the right ball for it. It was very deep and flat. The ATP counterpart of Iga Świątek, Hubert Hurkacz, lost that opening set to Zhizhen Zhang. That's also been a pretty interesting rivalry over the years. 3-1 Hurkacz now. Another first serve on breakpoint that Rybakina is unable to return. This one was, I think, a slightly more doable than the one on the previous BP. I don't know if I've ever said that, by the way, BP on stream. Like I've definitely used it, obviously, in writing, right? But does anyone ever say it? You know, she had a BP, she had an MP, she had a SP. Probably not. BP is more like blood pressure, right? That's kind of the first thing that I would be considering if someone told me something about a BP. BP is also, I don't know if it's, you know, how international it is, but it's also the gas station, right? So probably more even that, like not even blood pressure, but just a gas station, a huge gas chain. I'm pretty sure it's really international too. Yeah, I think even when we were living in Oeiras or Estoril, we were living next to a BP with John last year. Well, the game goes to Świątek eventually. Some very key unreturned serves in the most vital moments, and she will be putting Rybakina under a lot of pressure in the next game, where, of course, Elena has to win it to stay in the match. What else was there in the chat that I missed? Some talk about Iga's how she expresses herself on the court, which I know that some people maybe would like to see a bit more, but then again, do the same people have an issue with Sinner? Something to think about, I guess. Hello, Dave. Yeah, his brother doesn't know you well, Jake, that's for sure. Technically still a passing shot. Yeah, I know it's still a passing shot technically, and like if you know, you can say that was a successful passing shot, but you're not actually passing, which is quite interesting. Do I enjoy the aesthetics of a red clay court over hard courts? Yeah, definitely. Monte Carlo is a good shout as well. The landscape is stunning. Monte Carlo, I think, could be like literally like Monte Carlo could be scrapped off the tour because it doesn't make too much sense in terms of the ATP thousands. If we wanted to do something creative, as in like a Golden Swing ATP 1000, you would have to do it instead of Monte Carlo or Miami. But at the same time, you just want to leave Monte Carlo in there, right? Because it's such an amazing venue and the tradition. But it's kind of what's been done already, right? I mean, Monte Carlo on the ATP side is the only non-mandatory ATP 1000. So like this exact dilemma was already there. But yeah, Monte Carlo venue sounds amazing, that's for sure. From the TV broadcasts and just in general. Okay, yeah, I think I more or less got to the end of the chat, more or less. British Petroleum is the abbreviation. Okay, I actually didn't know that, but makes a lot of sense. Rome, yeah, the second court as well, right? I think it's very well known for its beauty. The one where Seppi and Wawrinka had this incredible clash years back. There's also the Oeiras center court. I don't mean Estoril, but Oeiras Challenger, right? The Centenario, I think they call it. Like Jose and Gaspar, they always say that this is the best court in the world. We didn't actually play there with John, but we did play at that venue, and yeah, I mean the court was quite magnificent. It was like I don't know, like a Coliseum-ish thing. Tough to describe, but if you look it up, I think it also classifies in terms of like the more low key venues for sure. Anyway, just 3 points away from the match now, Iga. Gonna be tougher to win though after this ace. And then after another unreturned serve that is out wide here. So the serving is coming in really clutch for Elena as well. I know that in the previous game, of course, the breakpoints, Swiatek did save them with a couple of unreturned serves, and now looks like Rybakina will also benefit from her first delivery, especially as the next one is good too. So yeah, 15 all and just 3 really strong serves from Rybakina. 5 games all. Keeps herself in it. Good effort. Ooh, smash into the net for Swiatek. That's actually quite rare, right? I think Iga's smashes tend to look a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, but like she still makes them. That's a bit of a rare error for her. But it's still the first point of this game, obviously, so lots of time to recover. Yeah, I mean, Rybakina is quite frustrated here, and sure, there's like no excuse for an error like this, I think, considering she had a big opportunity after landing her second serve return on the very back of the line. That's a backhand combination that is gonna win her a lot of money in her career though, Swiatek. I'm not even a backhand actually, it was an inside out forehand and then backhand line, but yeah, just a lovely 2-shot attack here. So much precision on that backhand line again. I think on TV, but especially when you watch it live, it's like kind of so striking, like how many of Iga's shots just there's nothing that can go wrong there, right? It's just like so well thought out and like so well executed that the safety levels are incredibly high for the type of ball that she's playing too, right? Because she is playing so aggressively, she is producing so much pace and spin, but yet somehow it just also looks so safe, so certain. And yeah, a combination like this definitely is a good example of that. 40-15. Can she get to 6-5 and secure the breaker? Yes, she can. So once more after the change of ends, Rybakina will be in that position where she is serving to stay in it. Have I ever sweated through a shirt? Oh, due to a very intense ping pong match. Do I have a particular kit for ping pong? Surely some decent shoes. I mean, I don't have a particular kit. Like, I use different shirts. I think for tournaments, I usually go with these. Like, I have 3 orange shirts, and I usually go for one of them. I don't know why. It's just kind of the color that I feel good in for whatever reason. But they're not like anything particular. I mean, in terms of the shorts, again, kind of depends on what I have clean. But obviously, they need to have pockets, and they aren't going to be like Thomas Mahat short. but they are also not going to be like below the knee, you know. And for shoes, yeah, I mean, I just have shoes, and well, they are particular, but they're also not like super expensive. And have I ever sweated during a shirt? I mean, yeah, obviously. I think I'm sweating through a shirt, you know, twice a week. um, no, I mean, I know it might sound weird for, especially if someone is like not playing table tennis, you know, at even like a semi decent amateur level. But yeah, it's a very challenging sport physically sometimes. And yeah, I've definitely had instances where I was just like completely dead after a match, during a match. Especially after a training session, when the intensity is like even higher sometimes. At least, you know, you play more shots, you play them in quicker succession. But of course, during a match, you also get the nerves and everything. So, but yeah, like no particular kit really. All right, first point goes to Swiatek in this one. Am I an indoor merchant when it comes to playing tennis? I think just for like convenience, I play on clay most of the time. I don't really like it though. Like if you, I think I'm at my best in terms of like a slick, fast indoor court. So kinda, because I try to play aggressively, but like don't have that much like natural power. So having that boost of the surface, I think I have good timing on the rise. So like yeah, I kinda am, I suppose. When in Porto, when we were playing with John, we were so close to the end of our match, but we couldn't finish it in time, and we switched for the last two games to an indoor court, and like it was such a huge difference. I mean, I could see the ball better, I could feel it better. I don't know if it maybe was just, you know, a case of that day as well, because the sun wasn't there anymore, and like I drank some water when we were walking there, whereas during the match I didn't know there was a water source at the venue. But yeah, I mean, it was like night and day for me, and I don't think that was purely accidental. Well, 30 all now, just 2 points away from the match. Swiatek, that's a pretty random forehand error from Rybakina. Massive moment here. It's either a match point or a game point that will lead us to the breaker. And once more, I mean, when she needs it, Rybakina's first serve has been very clutch the last few games. How many tie breaks have they had in in the history of the rivalry? I mean, definitely last year they played one in Doha, right? Like that's something that in the final, obviously, we remember. I think the Stuttgart match didn't have a breaker. I think the Australian Open match didn't have a breaker. Maybe Ostrava back years ago. Let me check. Yeah, Ostrava, there was a breaker. It was actually the same scoreline as Doha, 7-6, 6-2. And there was also a breaker in that Rome match. And yeah, United Cup, of course. Yeah, I forgot about the last match. Anyway, maybe I'm too quick to check that, since Swiatek slams her second serve return cross court here for a winner. And once more, she is 2 points away. Can the Rybakina serve save her once more? This time it's a second serve. Well, she just blasted the return winner. It was a good return from Swiatek, that's for sure. And Rybakina tries to go for an aggressive backhand cross court. We have a match point. 1 hour and 35 minutes in. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, you could argue that this is due to the pressure that was there, because Iga, the last second serve return on that side, she hit it for a winner. And now Rybakina makes double faults, match point down. She is quite frustrated about it. I would have to see the replay, whether she slammed her racket against the ground or not, or whether it was just like a big swing. But, obviously not the way that she wanted to finish the match. I'm not sure if she even had any double faults before, to be honest. But yeah, Iga did attack her second serve return there just previously. So yeah, Iga gets the win, 6-2 and 7-5. In the end, I guess a touch more comfortable than we would have expected, especially that opening set, right? Because as I said at the beginning of the stream, I think Noskova and Rybakina, they are pretty similar players in terms of how they can approach this matchup. But it wasn't quite like it. Like, it wasn't the same kind of tension that that Rybakina was putting her under. And I think that was maybe a little surprising, especially when Elena was just like looking so slow on her feet early on, and Iga was comfortable extending the rally. It was definitely a good performance from her in this regard, playing a little bit smarter than we are used to seeing from her in this matchup. And that was the same case at the United Cup, of course. But yeah, I mean, she was just like getting Elena on the stretch so easily. It wasn't the same nervous play as in the first set tiebreak against Noskova. But then the second set, yeah, obviously much more competitive. She didn't take some breakpoints early, kind of got herself into trouble. But in the end, of course, she has to be pretty proud of this. And yeah, I mean, she's still the main tournament favorite, 100%. I am hearing something in the background. So yeah,
Yes, you are. I just thought I'd join for a little bit
yeah.
post match, especially as it was straight sets rather than three. I do feel as though there might be a few regrets though for Rybakina. I mean, she was a breakup, wasn't she, in that second set? The slow start, I found that a bit inexplicable. I was actually thinking when it was a double break in the first set, I thought I would come back from my little break to find that there was another break or even a double break advantage for Iga in the second set. So I was a little bit surprised how Elena turned that around because, yeah, that slow start was a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, she was just looking very slow on her feet.
Yeah,
I was even
sluggish.
thinking, I don't think I expressed it, but I was even thinking, like, is she fit? Is she 100%?
I actually
But
wrote it in the
she
chat,
clearly
Damien.
was.
I wrote it I said whisper it, but she looks a bit under the weather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which with any other player, you would just you just mention it. Hi, Nerlan, by the way. You just mention it, wouldn't you? But we have to be a little aware of some of the sensitivities right now around Elena. I mean, we, as you rightly said, we have no idea what's going on. That is a separate show. But regarding Iga, though, I mean, it's back on track. If there was a bit of a wobble against Noskova, what was it? I heard you talking about. What was the comparison you were making between the Noskova match and today's match with Rybakina?
No, I was just thinking, like, in this matchup, Rybakina and Noskova, like, they're pretty much the same, right? In terms of how they're going to attack Swiatek. It's the same, like, big serve, second serve return should be a major thing that they can target. And then they're just hitting powerful flat shots of both wings. They don't move that well. But I guess, yeah, that for some reason, Rybakina just didn't really pressure Swiatek as much. Maybe it was also the fact that, yeah, she had that slow start and she just had time to like settle into this one. Yeah, of course, second set it could have gone both ways, but you also have to remember that there were these like many breakpoints at the beginning of the first set, second set, where Iga could have just like gotten it back to level terms even back then. So in the end, I mean, I think you just hinted at that, but like, yeah, it's a performance that like gets her back on track really in terms of this event. Whereas after the Noskova match, you could have thought, okay, like she's facing a lot of difficult opposition from here. It's a court where usually she's gonna be like very comfortable against big pace, but not really against Noskova. Now she's shown that, well, she's back there. She's like still the tournament favorite. Of course, I'm not saying there aren't any threats remaining. Of course, Ostapenko, still that head-to-head is so incredible, and we would love to see if this is, just going to change or not. If Elena is going to somehow play just magnificent against her once more, we'll see if she gets there. Alexandrova is also one of the toughest matchups on tour for Swiatek when she's playing well. Of course, beat her last year in Miami. So I'm not saying that the threats are just like gone with this. But this was kind of like not a mini final yet, but they were probably the two strongest players left in the draw.
Yeah, I don't quite know where we are with Elena either, in that she's probably sort of getting the results that suggest a sort of solid top 10 finish for her this year, you know, a few quarterfinals here and there. But I think she'll obviously be aiming higher than that. So in terms of her level, the last two matches against Swiatek, and of course Swiatek would have been, I guess, 4-2 down in the head-to-head, and now it's 4-all in the space of just over a month. So,
also 3 hardcourt meetings, you know, that she's won. Interestingly, it's not clay that she dominates in this rivalry. I mean, 4 hardcourt meetings. In fact, it's 4 hardcourt meetings that she's won.
Iga's lost twice on clay, right? Rome and
yeah, Stuttgart and Rome.
Stuttgart.
Rome, of course, retirement, so like you kind of
Yeah.
have to factor that. But 4 wins, 4 on hardcourts, and the last 3 hardcourt meetings she's won between them. So that's kind of interesting.
Where would you get stats from, by the way, for this match? Because I went on the WTA website and it just told me.
Yeah, WTA website is useless, but you can just go flash score maybe. But I don't know if there's gonna be winners or unforced errors there. But they were on my screen just now.
Yeah, they were on mine too. My internet is clearly not super solid to maintain 2 streams at the same time, one with you and one, because the screen is there and I've paused it, but it's blurry. So I can see 13 for Iga and 11 for Rybakina. I guess that would be, is that winners, do you reckon, or unforced errors?
That's probably forehand winners. And then there was unforced errors. It was like 30 and 40, I think. Rybakina winning less than 60% of her service points. Yeah, not too many comfortable holds. I mean, even when she was 4-2 up, she was after these two where she was like 15-40 and love 40 down, right? Yeah, I do think Ons will probably beat Ostapenko, but of course it's not obvious. And would I say that Ryba is more agile than Noskova? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they have similar issues in terms of their footwork and defending, but like today, you know, Swiatek was not able to put Noskova on the back foot at all. Like she wasn't able to open up the court against her. And against Elena in the opening set, it was just so easy. You know, she was just constantly on the stretch and barely getting these shots back. I don't know. I was surprised by the contrast. Definitely, I think they're more similar than this. I don't know if I would say she's more agile, to be honest.
I would love to preview a match or two from Doha for tomorrow, but obviously there's still 2 more matches to play. But
yeah, we don't have them yet.
A very weird scheduling decision, which I know Jose Morgado was spouting about yesterday, was that the winner of the 4th match today will be in the first semi-final tomorrow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Let's be honest. I mean, if it was 1-3 maybe and 2-4, maybe you can make the case. But I mean, yeah, it just should be 1 versus 2 and 3 versus 4.
Did they not start till 3:30 local time for the first match today because of like weather, or is it super hot?
No, it's always like this. Maybe it's because of the heat, but like it's been like this the entire week, where the main court starts at 1:30 our time. Yes, and the other courts they started like noon CET. But it's been like this the entire week. I think it might be related to like how the matches finished yesterday, right? But yeah, I mean, there's no real way to justify this, especially as the last match is Kostyuk Anisimova, so it's not like it's, you know, a blockbuster, right?
Well, that's probably why
you could put Ons last. Like I could imagine that, right? That would make sense in this part of the world, but no,
they would have wanted Swiatek Rybakina at sort of a peak time that can appeal to all parts of the world, I guess. But anyway, I just don't get it. There we go. Otherwise, I would preview. I'm just wondering, is there any matches that we've already got lined up on the ATP tour for tomorrow? I don't know if we have.
I mean, you know, tomorrow is only going to be the quarterfinal day, right? For these events. So we kind of do. I mean, we have 2 quarterfinals in Marseille, 2 quarterfinals in Delray, and 2 quarterfinals in Buenos Aires. But honestly, I don't know if there's anything you want to preview from this. Maybe Zverev Cerundolo. But
is that the biggest sort of match? Is it in Argentina tomorrow?
The ones that we have set, yes. I mean, the other one in Buenos Aires is Sabov Wild against Jere. In Delray, we have Kecmanovic Giron and Nori Mikkelsen. And in Marseille, we have Medjedovic Altmaier and Sonego Bear. These are the quarterfinals we know. Because, of course, Doha, it was running on that Saturday final schedule, right? but the ATP events, they are on Wednesday and Thursday. They play their second rounds, so that's
Pretty
why
sure,
we already have
pretty sure Diego is playing again today, Ghosty, because he obviously had his match rained off on Tuesday, right, to Wednesday. There was actually let's do Mickelson Norrie. Yeah, let's just do that one and no other. I'm going to see if they've played before. Yes, they have once. You're laughing because I should probably know because it was very recent. It was just last week.
Yes.
Of course it was. Of course it was. And I remember that match actually because I was talking to Vanch about it off air, but we just finished recording something. And then we were talking about it because there was a bit of a swing in that match because Norrie was very slow starting and it went to that second set tiebreak. And I expected Mickelson to get the job done in straight sets, but Norrie ends up running away with the third set. Did you see any of that match or any awareness of what happened?
No, not really. I mean, I was in Lille the entire week. I think indoors, that was kind of where you would think that Alex has the advantage. Delray, the slow, hard court conditions.
I think we've lost Damien for a second. Is that my internet or is it Damien's? I think it's Damien's. He will be back shortly, no doubt. But if not, we'll plow on through. I am going to predict some revenge for Mickelson in this one. I just found that result a little bit difficult to explain, although I would have looked forward to have heard Damien's thoughts on that. Let me know in the live chat if you've got any thoughts on Mickelson against Norrie. I'm also intrigued, and something I want to get from Damien if he does come back, is why there's a lot of optimism between him and Vanch. I heard them talking on the stream yesterday about the amount of optimism they have for Fonseca making the final in Argentina. But we'll get back to that in a second. I can see Damien rejoining probably on his... he's back. So
no, actually, no. I don't know why I'm here, doubled. But
I don't know.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I feel as though that was a bit of a swing in that previous match that they had last week in Delray Beach. I was surprised that Norrie turned that around. Maybe I'm underestimating the Brit and his star quality in North America. But I'm gonna go with Mickelson to get some revenge in Delray Beach. You were just about to talk about the court conditions between Dallas and Delray Beach, I think.
Yeah. I think indoors, it should have been a bigger edge for Alex. So not sure really what to think now.
The Delray Beach actually would favor more Cam, you think?
Probably, yeah. I mean, Alex does like indoor courts more. He has like a play style where you need the perfect conditions, if you may. I don't know if it's windy today in Delray, but there were days when it was quite windy. It's pretty slow too. If Norrie beat him last week, I guess he should kind of feel confident about his chances, more or less. But, needless to say, it's not really a match that I'm like going to be tuning into.
All right. There was a secondary sort of questions that I want to come to with you, Damien, which is I heard you and Vanch talking yesterday and sort of there seemed to be some quiet optimism. It was like, let's not say it too loudly, but still, let's talk about it. Is that you both feel as though Echeverry was maybe the biggest obstacle in Fonseca's road to the final. But isn't he due to meet Rune in the quarters potentially?
Yeah, I just don't have any trust in Holger right now. And Navone today, I think, is a very tough match for Holger already. Of course, they had this Madrid clash last year. And especially, I mean, honestly, Buenos Aires lineup today just looks amazing. You've got Diego playing again. You've got Navone, Rune. You've got Fonseca playing again. Every single match is a big story. And I just kind of want to see Rune beat Navone first before I jump to conclusions regarding him as well. Coria technically on paper is not as much of a threat as Echeverry, but he is a solid, good defender, counterpuncher. Like, we've seen this at the Australian Open already, right?
I thought Echeverry would pose more of a threat, to be honest with you, and it didn't materialize.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, Fonseca, we've already seen this at the Australian Open that like we were so quick to jump to conclusions when he beat Rublev, but his performances aren't going to be all the same. What I do have to say though, that sometimes someone yesterday under one of my tweets commented that like Fonseca, it will be a major disappointment if he doesn't win one of these Golden Swing events. And like these are just such insane standards that people try to.
That's. I mean, listen. If he makes the final in either one, I would suggest that's another incredible step forward.
I checked, and this century there were 4 players who won an ATP Tour title when they were younger than he is right now, and that's like Nadal, Nishikori, Mari, and someone I'm forgetting. Oh, Carlos Alcaraz, obviously. So I think that kind of shows you that like the standards that people are trying to put onto him, like it's too much. But he might, I'm not saying he might, he won't, but I mean,
Fonseca is in
let's just
action
not
right
like
now.
expect it,
Yeah. Ghosty, I actually don't think it is as, I mean, you talked about, the comparisons with Alcaraz. You think that at the same age or when they were younger, you sort of were bigger on Alcaraz at that point. I think there's a lot of hype around Fonseca. And of course, his nationality will play into that, Ghosty, in that you've got more than 200 million people in Brazil, of which there's a huge interest in the sport. You only have to see how full the stands are in Rio. I know that there's a huge amount of poverty in Brazil, but the unfortunate mechanisms of the world suggest that 5% of Brazil has a huge amount of money, and therefore that's all you need to have a huge amount of a following. Anyway, that's gone down a road that I can go down some of the day. Yeah, and I just think it's did you see that little 1-minute clip of all his winners from, I don't know if you saw that from the match with Echeverri. It's just a great microcosm of his domination against Echeverri. And 6-3, 6-3 was a scoreline I wasn't expecting. In fact, I thought for Zhao, if he was going to come a cropper, Damien, at any point, and if you're looking for something, if you're looking to charge something, keep doing it. I can keep talking. You're looking for your water. Then the Coke Zero didn't quite quench your thirst. By the way, the Coke Zero, you said apologies for this little thing, right? This little sound you're about to make. And you went, and it was almost perfect. It was almost like I was expecting a phone call from Coke Zero for a sponsorship deal because, and then of course I came up with this wonderful alliteration in the chat, which again, I'm very disappointed you didn't mention, was like fizzing like a Fonseca forehand. Because I think you were struggling to think of a word for the bubble noise. But anyway,
I was thinking of fizzing, but I didn't like. I saw it later, your comment, but I didn't think of the alliteration whole thing. No.
Anyway, I'm also on the water now. So yeah, I just
on the
regarding
water,
Fonseca's route to the final. Obviously there's lots of ifs, whens, and maybes, but semi-final. Who is he most likely to play? So him not Zverev's half. That's a huge help, of course.
Yeah. I mean, if he was in Zverev's half, probably we would be talking about something different. But I think it's like Baez in that half, right?
Baez is out, no?
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Damien,
yeah, so it's Seibovic, Jere, or
I'd love to see an all-Brazilian semi-final.
Yeah.
That would be great in Argentina. And I remember a comment you made a couple of days ago, and I feel the same. I think you were talking about the challenger you were at last week. And it's like when we're in Portugal, for example, it's great to see a Portuguese in the final, but you don't want to see an all-Portuguese final or an all-Portuguese semi-final lineup. And same with the Spanish, of course, who tend to dominate even more. You want to see and a Brazil versus Argentina final would be cool, or Brazil Argentina clashes are fun, but of course with Zverev on the other side, it may well be Brazil Germany, if you like. So an all Brazilian semi-final in Buenos Aires could be a lot of fun. Seems like he's got plenty of support in Buenos Aires. Of course, it's not a million miles away from Brazil. But yeah. Oh, I did have another question for you, Damien, about Nagal. Do you know anything about his health regarding Rio Open?
I mean, he retired in the qualies already, but then he played yesterday, right? So
did he?
Yeah, I mean, he got in as a lucky loser and lost to Muta in 2 sets.
Oh, okay. So now it's my turn to make a mistake. Okay, cool. All right. That's cool. Well, we're done, I think, just about everything I want to do for everyone. Unless you've got anything else to add regarding Argentina or Fonseca?
No, not really. I mean, I just saw this comment from Nurlan as well. Good luck for him in his broadcasting debut.
Nurlan, first of all, it would have to be pre-recorded. Secondly, it would probably have to go through about 10 attorneys to make sure that we were safe with whatever it was you said, and we'll probably have to be heavily redacted with lots of asterisks. But it still could be a lot of fun. Penko looks like she's underway. he said, and I think, hey, listen, Jabeur, Ostapenko, if that was tomorrow, I'd be desperately trying to preview it. Unfortunately, it's obviously too late to be previewing it, given it's now getting underway. I really, I think I'm with you, Damien. I would love to see Ostapenko secure that, just to see.
By the way, sorry. Now it's coming to me. You mentioned the draw for Rio,
yeah.
the qualifying. I thought it's Friday when I was replying to you.
It comes out Friday, you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, these draws just come out the day before.
Got it. All right. Well,
when I was replying to you, I thought it's Friday because we were doing a Doha quarterfinal, and quarterfinals means Friday.
Got it. Yeah. Hopefully, it'll be out before 4 p.m. CET. Do you reckon it might be? If it isn't, then I'll probably try and get someone to fill in for me. Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's cool. So it'll be out tomorrow, and I'm going to be there certainly for Sunday and probably some parts of Saturday, depending on what time they get underway on Saturday for the qualifying. So that is fun. As I said to Damien earlier, I've got a media accreditation for the qualifying only at this stage, but who knows, they may extend it for next week as well.
Can they do something like this for the French Open, for example? I'd love to.
Apparently they do, Damien. Now, but the weird thing is, I remember, maybe not last, it might have been the year before, I said, look, if you can't give us main draw, just give us qualies. That's great. And that was the year I think you and I both applied. And I've been told by, I can't remember, Vicky is her first name, I don't remember her surname, a Greek journalist. She said that sometimes they do just give part accreditations. And I'd be fine with just qualies for the French Open, especially, but any Grand Slam. Well, particularly the European ones anyway. So obviously, Wimbledon.
Exactly. Like I was just thinking Wimbledon and
yeah, I probably would go all the way to Australia.
Yeah.
But no, Roland Garros qualifying would be great. It would be just like it's just like a mega challenger, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I also do it on the Challenger show, because it's just the same players really playing one huge event. So makes a lot of sense, and I'd love to do it, but yeah, I thought they weren't giving out something like this.
I thought that somebody, well, at least Vicky, this is what Vicky, a journalist who I interviewed a couple of years ago, a Greek journalist, and she said that they do, but maybe I'll check it out again this year. Ozan, yes, I am going to be traveling to Rio for a few days, so yeah, cool. Fingers crossed I can maybe even secure. So last year, they gave me a very lame. It was basically a grounds pass, although I got into centre court as well with the same pass on a grounds pass. But yeah, they wouldn't.
Yeah, I remember it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. And fingers crossed I'll be able to speak to some players over the course of the weekend, as well as obviously keeping us up to date with all the action. And we'll have a preview for the qualifying live tomorrow because the draw is not going to be out until tomorrow. That's fine. I'm also going to be interviewing a Brazilian broadcaster in about 20 minutes. So we'll bring this to a show and now and enjoy the rest of the tennis for the rest of the day. And everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.